Sens Talk is proud to be powered by Ottawa Interlock Repair for the 2025-26 Sens season. For all your interlock needs, visit interlockrepair.com. Sens win! Sens win! The Sens win! 4-3 in the shootout over the Seattle Kraken. The 3-game losing streak is over, ladies and gentlemen, and your Ottawa Senators pick up a massive 2 points. I don't care how they did it. I don't care who they did it against. I just care that they did it. My goodness, what a game. My goodness, what a performance by Linus Ullmark. And my goodness, the cardiac Sens are back, taking it to the final couple minutes of play before tying it up and then winning it in the shootout. My goodness. We're going to talk about it in this video, ladies and gentlemen. Linus Ullmark, the best game he's had all year. Obviously, he stole that game for the Ottawa Senators, in my opinion. On top of that, Dylan Cousins, does he have the it factor? We'll talk about that later. Another clutch goal for Rich Cuzzy, the workhorse from Whitehorse. Holy cow, what a bomb that was. And most of all, that crowd, by the way, electric. Absolutely electric on that tying goal. Just great to see some good vibes around this team again. And it's a great reminder that it's literally game number 5 on the year. And maybe, just maybe, we were overreacting. Maybe not. Maybe not. We're going to talk about that in the game notes. There are still some negatives and still some things that need to be cleaned up. But the most important thing is this. They found a way to get it done. They got the 2 points, and they grinded out a win. And that's what good teams do, even when they deserve to lose. And frankly, tonight, the Sens probably deserve to lose. So kudos to Linus Ullmark and to the Sens for grinding out a massive victory to shift the vibes and get back on the winning side of things. Ba-ba-ba. Beautiful, just beautiful. What a win, ladies and gentlemen, for your Ottawa Senators. 4-3 in a shootout, my goodness. Now, before we jump into how the Sens found a way to win this game, again, a game where Ottawa, frankly, did not deserve the win, a couple important pre-game notes. Firstly, Arthur Kaliyev was recalled from the Belleville Senators. I like the move for obvious reasons. Ottawa is struggling to score, and Kaliyev is a pure scorer, so it makes total sense. In 202 NHL games, he's put in 37 goals and 57 total points. He also had 2 points in 4 preseason games this year for Ottawa, and collected 2 assists in his 2 games in Belleville this year in the AHL. So a solid call-up for the Ottawa Senators, no doubt about that. A guy that Ottawa certainly can use, especially in the absence of Brady Tkachuk now, which we'll talk about in a second. But with Arthur Kaliyev, who looked good today, he got some power play time today, and while he didn't officially get, an assist on the first goal for Ottawa, he created that cycle by starting it along the board. So Kaliyev was impressive to me in, this opening game, especially for a fourth-line winger. And he brings a lot to that fourth line, who I thought overall had a really good, night for that fourth line. And again, having a dynamic puck shooter that can play on your power play and help hopefully provide some offense in that bottom 6 is A-okay with me. So it's great to have Arthur Kaliyev back in the fold. And again, most importantly, Ottawa really does not have any pure shooters on this team. Kaliyev is a guy that can absolutely be one of those pure shooters. So it's a welcome addition for sure. And again, tonight he was impressive. I'm just hoping that continues. But Lars Eller as well, who's been impressive to me so far this year for Ottawa. I mean, that fourth line really is cooking. It was cooking tonight, and I'm excited to see how that continues to progress. It never hurts to have, a fourth line that can do it all, and right now it seems that Ottawa has just that. Now, the reason why Arthur Kaliyev was recalled is because of Brady Tkachuk, who is going to be out for at least 6 to 8 weeks after he had surgery on his right thumb. As I reported yesterday, it's a thumb injury, so he got surgery on that. So it's likely going to be 2 months without the captain, Brady Tkachuk. All things considered, that's not as bad as I originally anticipated. I was hearing like 4 to 6 months. So the fact that, that was greatly exaggerated and it's going to be 6 to 8 weeks, hopefully at the most, all things considered, is better than the alternative, which would have been, frankly, the year, which I thought was definitely a possibility, considering people were telling me 4 to 6 months. That basically would have put him out for most of the year. And when you take a look at the games Brady Tkachuk is going to miss, he's only going to miss potentially 19 games. Now, I say only, that is a lot of games, don't get me wrong. Just remember, though, last year he missed half of that, 10, right? So it's not like we haven't played without Brady Tkachuk before. We were 5-4-1 last year without him. And by the way, it would be 26 games if he misses 8 weeks. So 19 to 26 games is what Brady Tkachuk is going to miss. Certainly a good chunk of the season, but here's an important thing you need to understand. In those games that he's missing, Ottawa's playing 13 teams, of which Ottawa was ahead of last year in the standings, essentially non-playoff teams. Teams that Ottawa feasibly should be able to beat with or without Brady Tkachuk. So if Ottawa can just stay 500 in that stretch, and remain in the fight until Tkachuk comes back. That's all we need. Obviously, above 500 would be way better, and I think this team is capable of doing that. But just, 500. Stay even, stay in the fight, and then let Tkachuk come back and help drive this team to the playoffs. Again, remember last year Ottawa did not have a great start to the year. They still found a way to make the playoffs. So the season, I saw a lot of people were saying the season is over. It's not by any stretch of the imagination. If anyone thinks that, you gotta just, take a bit of a breather. I think it's going to be A-okay one way or the other. There's still a lot of hockey left, and a lot can happen. Now, speaking of that, a lot happened in this one, so let's jump into it, shall we? Really Greg to line number 1. I absolutely love that. He actually looked pretty good there. Tim Stützle, who really didn't shoot the puck as much as I wanted him to today. He was flying again, so that's a great sign that Stützle is far more engaged. Zetterlund to the third line, and Arthur Kaliyev, as already mentioned, was on the fourth line. So let's get to the first period of play. And 5 minutes in, Shane Wright, the Seattle Kraken strike first to make it 1-0. And Ottawa, for the 5th straight game this year, have allowed the opening goal. All games this year, Ottawa has allowed the opening goal now. This was just, again, an inexcusable goal where Zub cannot cover his man nor clear it out front. Ullmark freezes. Stützle doesn't hustle back, leaving, yes, Shane Wright there to just poke it home with no one covering him. And yeah, the Seattle Kraken strike first to make it 1-0. But don't fret, just 2 minutes later, Shane Pinto slams home the loose puck off a Giroux shot ricochet, and Ottawa, just like that, ties it up at 1 apiece, as Shane Pinto has 6 goals on the year already. Ladies and gentlemen, it's game number 5, and Shane Pinto has goal number 6. Unbelievable. He is, by the way, first among NHL goal leaders at 6. Stop the count. Give Shane Pinto the MVP. And then most of all, Pinto with the 6th goal of the year is the first Sens player in history to score 6 goals in the first 5 games of the year. So shout out to Shane Pinto. He just did something that Daniel Alfredsson couldn't even do. He scored 5 and 5. Pinto just scored 6 and 5. Unbelievable. And just for some context, Shane Pinto last year scored his 6th goal of the year on December 21st. He did so this year on October 16th. Holy cow, Shane Pinto, have a start to the year. And Steve Stais, I know this guy is absolutely pissed they didn't find a way to sign him, going into the year. Obviously, he's an RFA next year. He's not going anywhere for at least the next 2 years. Don't get any nerves around Shane Pinto. Do not worry. But the price tag is going up and up and up and up and up with every single one of these goals. And I'm sure the Sens are pleased about it because that means the Sens are doing well. But also on the other side, not so pleased. 3 minutes later, the Sens take the lead on the power play. It's the Quebec connection as David Perron chops home a loose puck top shelf off a great passing play by Tom Chabot and Claude Giroux. Arthur Kaliyev along the board started the play as well. While he doesn't get credited with an assist, I wanted to give him a shout out. And Ottawa takes the lead for the first time tonight. They lead 2-1, and Ottawa is up by a goal after 20 minutes of play. The Sens, for the first time this year, lead after 20 minutes of play. And yes, shots were 8-8, but Ottawa, I think, were easily the better team in that first period of play. They dominated the possession and generated a good amount of chances, of course, culminating in those 2 big goals, while scoring chances were 11-8 for Ottawa as well. Shockingly, though, high danger chances were 5-3 in favor of Seattle. Mostly because Ottawa in the deep zone just leaves the guys wide open so they can drive to the net. Nothing new there. We'll talk about that later on. But before we get into the second period of play, I want to give a quick shout out to Dylan Puckniak and Keller Williams Sports and Entertainment. As Sens Talk is proudly presented by Dylan Puckniak, Ottawa's exclusive realtor with Keller Williams Sports and Entertainment. Providing a bilingual real estate service that serves the Ottawa-Gatineau community, Dylan Puckniak is also specialized in supporting professional athletes that come and go in our city. Providing a service that takes care of the people at the highest level. For realtor experience puts you and your needs first. Visit DylanPuckniak.kw.com. That is DylanPuckniak.kw.com to find out more today. Again, thank you to Dylan Puckniak and Keller Williams Sports and Entertainment for sponsoring Sens Talk. So let's get to the second period of play. And this is not a great play overall for the Ottawa Senators. 5 minutes in, Dylan Cousins gets stripped off the puck by Jaden Schwartz, who then passes it over to Stevenson, who walks in, rips it off the bar. And similar to last night against Buffalo, it goes off the bar instead of the glass, but it goes off something, off Ullmark, and then into the net as the Seattle Kraken tie it up in the first 5 minutes of the second period at 2 apiece. Just overall horrible play where Cousins easily gets poked off the puck. Jensen behind the net easily gets worked off the puck, and then horrible puck luck on Ullmark there. So overall, just not a fun play whatsoever. But Seattle will continue to pressure. My goodness, would they ever. The Seattle Kraken in that second period led in high danger chances 9-6, while both teams did have 20 scoring chances. The Seattle Kraken were getting a lot of those high danger opportunities, and it really culminated and climaxed, so to speak, in the last few minutes of the second period, where Linus Ullmark was forced to throw the glove. What a save by Linus Ullmark, grand larceny in the final 5 minutes to keep this thing tied at 2-2 going into the third. An unbelievable glove save by Linus Ullmark, and my goodness, from this moment forward, Linus Ullmark locked the F in. My goodness, this suddenly became the Linus Ullmark game as we go to the third period of play. And sure, the Kraken did score to make it 3-2 less than 3 minutes into the third period. I can't really blame Ullmark on this goal. Stevenson put home the rebound, blocker side off a broken play all around. As the penalty kill gets exposed once again, Stevenson gets his second goal of the night, and Zetterlund again takes a penalty, and a goal goes in because of said penalty kill. So the penalty kill, atrocious. The discipline, atrocious. That goal, atrocious, because the guys were just floating around chasing. And Ullmark does not get bailed out there. But guess what? Linus Ullmark will bail out the Ottawa Senators for the remainder of the third period until they're ready to tie this game. Because the Sens, just 13 minutes into the period, all right, had 2 shots. Just 2 shots in a period. They were down by a goal in a, not a must win. You know, we're only game 5 on the year, but a game that feels like a must win. You know what I mean? So no pressure, no urgency. The only one that showed some urgency there in the third period for the majority of it was Linus Ullmark, who stopped 7 straight shots after that goal for the Kraken, including multiple key saves, particularly there on the penalty kill. Jake Sanderson with a massive save, you know, on the penalty kill as well. But Ullmark with a few massive stops to give Ottawa a chance to just tie it up. And Ottawa took that chance and ran with it. With less than 2 minutes to go, Dylan Cousins, the workhorse from Whitehorse, hammers it home. Dylan Cuzzy, baby. Rich Cuz ties it up at 3. An absolute bomb. Glove side, and the Sens tied up. Look at that crowd reaction. Absolutely electric scenes in the nation's capital as your Ottawa Senator, the cardiac Sens, force it to overtime. Of course, we're going to overtime. And you know what? I take it any day of the week. Linus Ullmark stole that point for the Ottawa Senators. Frankly, the Sens did not deserve a point out of this game. After a good first period, it was all Seattle, but they found a way, and that's what good teams do. In the games they maybe don't deserve to win, they find ways to tie it up and find ways to win. We go to overtime, and Ullmark stood tall in that overtime period. It was pretty boring if you're not a Kraken fan, because the Kraken just dominated possession, going in and out of the zone, just hogging that puck, and I hate that, frankly. The Sens fans in the crowd hated that by booing them for like 2 minutes straight. Well deserved. Kudos to the Sens Army for that one. We hate to see that kind of tomfoolery. Just go for it, you know? Take an offensive chance. It's overtime, 3-on-3. Why are you keep on going in and out? I don't care if it's opportune for you and gives you a better chance. Just play the game of hockey, for God's sake. But anyways, we go to the shootout. In round number 2, Tim Stützle with a nasty goal, 5-hole. He loves that move. I remember he did it, I think last year or 2 years ago against Grubauer. He does it again here. And then Shane Pinto in round number 3 with a chance to win it, walks in and wins it. Pinner again as the Ottawa Senators win 4-3 in a shootout. A massive comeback victory. Ottawa snaps a 3-game losing streak and improves the 2-3-0 on the year. Ladies and gentlemen, what a gritty effort by the Ottawa Senators to come back. Is that the TSN turning point of the season so far? I say yes. My goodness. The Sens desperately needed some good vibes. They needed a win. They needed some confidence. They needed something going in their way. And all of that happened tonight. Yes, a massive win for Ottawa. And certainly, in my opinion, hopefully anyways, a turning point. And by the way, the boys were blasting Kiss in the locker room post-game. Needless to say, they are absolutely fired up after this one, and good. They should be. Keep those good vibes going into Saturday's game against the Islanders. Now, Linus Ullmark was a massive reason why the Ottawa Senators won this game. No doubt about that. He was, frankly, the reason the Sens won this game, stopping 30 out of 33. Great performance there for Linus Ullmark. Multiple 10-bell saves. I mean, Ullmark, when he's on, is easily one of the best goaltenders in the National Hockey League. Maybe I'm biased. I don't know. I don't think I am. He won a Vezina after all. This guy, when he's locked in, is unbeatable, like a brick wall. You know, it's unbelievable to watch a goalie like this for your Ottawa Senators at such a high level. So kudos to Linus Ullmark. Stole that game for the Ottawa Senators and gave Ottawa exactly what they needed. And I said it in my last video. I'll say it again here. The goaltending last year carried the Ottawa Senators. If they're going to do well again this year and make the playoffs, the goaltending is going to bring us there. And tonight was a prime example of why that is the case. Now, a couple of final points before I wrap up the video, specifically just on the Senators penalty kill. I don't understand what the Sens are doing on the diamond formation. I know this is like beating a dead horse, but I got to talk about it. I mean, my goodness. The deep zone, you know, along the goal line there, it's free real estate for the opposing team every single time. The Senators penalty kill consistently leaves shooters a bunch of space in the deep zone to drive to the net. Every team just sends two guys down low. One guy takes a man, the other one takes that puck and drives into the net with no, pushback. So again, they're consistently getting exposed. We need to see some improvements on the penalty kill. You got Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers coming into town in a week from now. So if you don't want to get embarrassed against probably one of the best power plays the world has ever seen, you might want to fix that in practice tomorrow, and there better be a practice tomorrow. No more optional skates. Speaking of that, the Sens continue to look disjointed. Yes, they got a big comeback win. Yes, the vibes are good, so I don't want to finish on a negative note, but I do have to mention that the choppy zone exits, the inability to make tape-to-tape passes, the constant forced turnovers when they have the puck, so the puck possession itself is not great. These are things that can be worked on. It's early in the year, and I'm sure that they will, get better as the year progresses. Again, these are great hockey players, but early on, they just don't look ready, if that makes sense. I don't know if it does, but to me, they just don't really seem ready for the year, if that makes sense. They're not very cohesive right now. I said it in my last video. I'll say it again. They're very, very streaky, and early on, that's fine, but for long-term success, that's not going to cut it. So with that, let me know what you think in the comment section down below, as always, as the next Sens game is on Saturday at 3 o'clock against the New York Islanders. So let's see if Ottawa can make it back-to-back wins and get back to 500. With that, thank you all for watching. I'll see you all soon. Go Sens, go.